You are losing your mind over pieces of paper and digital numbers on a screen. Wake up. Right now, somewhere, a man is lying awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, heart hammering in his chest, not because a lion is at his door, not because his family is in physical danger, but because his bank account hit a number that scared him. His hands are shaking, his jaw is tight, he can't eat, he can't think straight. He is having a full psychological breakdown over digits on a screen that a corporation invented. And you might be that man. So I need you to stop, look me in the eyes right now, and hear what I am about to say, because nobody else in your life is going to be brutal enough to tell you this truth. You can't sleep. Your chest is tight. You're terrified of the bills stacking up, the rent coming due, the credit card minimum you're dodging, and you have convinced yourself that this anxiety is about money. It is not about money. Let me say that again so it cuts through whatever story you've been telling yourself. Your financial stress is not caused by a lack of money. It is caused by the fear of losing status. You're not afraid of being poor, you are afraid of looking poor. You are afraid of what your boys will think, what your family will say, whether that girl will stay, whether people will still respect you when the car is gone, when the dinners stop, when the flex disappears. That is not a financial crisis. That is an identity crisis, and no bank deposit in the world will fix an identity crisis. Here is the brutal, liberating truth that most men never confront. You tied your entire worth as a human being to a number that can be erased by a single economic event you never saw coming. A layoff, a medical bill, a market crash, one bad quarter, and suddenly you don't know who you are anymore. That is the paper prison, and you built it yourself, brick by brick, every time you let your account balance tell you what kind of man you are. The first step out of that prison is realizing the door was never locked. It was always open. You just had to stop being afraid of what was on the other side. Let me introduce you to a man named Seneca. Lucius Annaeus Seneca, one of the wealthiest, most powerful men in the entire Roman Empire, advisor to emperors, owner of vast estates, fine wine, real influence. This man had everything by the world's standard of success. And yet, every single month, Seneca would deliberately strip it all back. He would eat the cheapest food available, wear rough, worn clothing, sleep without luxury. For days at a time, he would practice being broke, not because he had to, because he chose to. He called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. He was training himself to look his worst fear directly in the face, shake its hand, and realize it wasn't as terrifying as he imagined. He was building a kind of internal armor that no market crash, no emperor's whim, no financial disaster could pierce, because he had already lived the worst case and survived it. You think going broke is the end of the world? Seriously? You think losing the apartment, selling the car, eating rice and lentils for a month is some kind of death sentence? If you lose it all tomorrow, every dollar, every asset, every subscription, every status symbol, you will still breathe. Your lungs will still pull air. Your mind will still fire. Your hands will still work. And every single skill, every relationship built on something real, every lesson carved into you by struggle, none of that gets repoed. None of that shows up on a balance sheet that can go to zero. You have been so conditioned by this consumer culture to believe that comfort equals survival that you have confused inconvenience with catastrophe. They are not the same thing, not even close. Now I want you to sit with something the Stoics called the dichotomy of control. It is the most practically powerful idea in the history of philosophy, and it is absolutely free. Here is how it works. There are things inside your control and things outside your control. The economy, outside your control. The layoffs your company just announced, outside your control. The interest rate hike, the inflation spike, the market correction, outside your control. Stop hemorrhaging mental energy into a category where you have zero power. But your reaction to those events, inside your control. Your budget, your spending discipline, your hustle, the calls you make tomorrow morning, the skills you stack, the side income you build, all of that is inside your control. The man who cannot separate these two categories will suffer endlessly. The man who masters this distinction becomes unbreakable.
because he stops fighting the weather and starts building a better shelter. Separate your ego from your wallet right now, not next week, not when things get better, now. Because here is what is happening in your nervous system when you fuse your identity to your finances. Every fluctuation in your account becomes a fluctuation in your self-worth. Number goes up, you feel like a king. Number goes down, you spiral. You become a hostage to a dashboard. You are living in a prison where the walls are made of notifications and the warden is your own unchecked ego. That ends today. You are not your bank account. Your bank account is a tool, and right now, you are letting the tool use you. Here is your action. I am calling it the Stoic audit, and I want you to do this tonight. Take a piece of paper, actual paper, pen in hand, and write down the absolute worst-case financial scenario you can imagine. Go all the way. You lose the job, the car gets repossessed, you move into a smaller place, you eat simply, you start from scratch. Write it all down, every uncomfortable detail, and then ask yourself 2 questions. Is this uncomfortable? Yes, absolutely it is uncomfortable. Will it kill you? No, it will not kill you. You have survived hard things before. This would be another hard thing. That is all it is. Because here is what happens the moment you genuinely accept the worst-case scenario. The anxiety collapses completely. The anxiety was never about the actual outcome. The anxiety was about the uncertainty, the avoidance, the refusal to look the monster in the eye. But the second you walk into the dark room and turn the light on, the monster was just a coat on a chair. Your mind, now clear, no longer paralyzed, can actually function. It can strategize, it can create, it can problem solve at a level that was completely inaccessible when you were drowning in panic. The man who has accepted the worst is the most dangerous man in the room. He has nothing to lose in his mind, which means he has everything to gain in reality. True wealth is not needing anything. When you fear nothing, you own everything.